Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Leslie McWhirter. I'm the MapViewer Product Manager, and I'm here today to go over some of the top new features in MapViewer 8. The features that I will be addressing are the new user interface, including how to customize it for your needs, the 4 new map types, how to use text columns for territory map territories and hatch map classes, and how to use the Download Online Maps function to download georeference base maps. After the discussion of each feature, I'll stop for a few minutes to answer any questions you might have. You can send your questions to me via the chat function. At the very top of your screen, you should see a green tab that says Viewing Leslie McWhirter's application. Click on that tab and click the chat button. This webinar will also be recorded. So after the webinar is finished, the video will be available on our website at www.goldensoftware.com. Click to the MapViewer 8 homepage and then go to the Training Videos tab and click Webinar. So let's begin. The biggest improvement to MapViewer's user interface comes in the form of the ribbon bar. The ribbon bar is across the top of your screen, just as the classic toolbar was in MapViewer 7. But the classic toolbar has been reorganized a little bit to make this ribbon bar, and certain features that are more popular than other features have been given larger icons to make them easier to find. The ribbon bar and the quick access toolbar, which is these small icons just above it, can be completely customized. To do so, right-click in the ribbon bar and click Customize Quick Access Toolbar or Customize the Ribbon. This will bring up this MapViewer dialog, and from here we can add custom tabs to the ribbon, add a new group on an existing tab, add tools such as links to scripts or websites, customize the shortcut keys, and add, remove, or reorder icons in the Quick Access Toolbar. Let's go over a couple of these by adding some icons to the Quick Access Toolbar and adding a custom tab with some custom groups and commands to the ribbon bar. So first we're going to click Quick Access Toolbar over here on the left. I'm going to choose commands from the Draw menu, and then I'm going to scroll down, and the most popular commands I use from Draw are Draw Text, so I'll click that one and click Add. And then I also use Draw Point, Draw Polyline, and Draw Polygon pretty frequently. If I wanted to reorganize these, since these were appended to the end of the list, I could just click these arrows over on the right, and that would reorganize the list. But I'm okay with leaving them as they are. So now let's go ahead and add a new tab to the ribbon. So let's just click Customize Ribbon over here on the left. And over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to click the New Tab button. This is added after the existing tab. So I want to highlight this and click the down arrow a few times so this tab appears last in my ribbon bar. I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to add some help commands here. So let's just call this the Help tab and click OK. And then I'm going to call this first group Help. And let's add a couple of additional groups. Let's add a group that we're going to call Online. And we'll add one more group that we're going to call Email. So with Help highlighted, the Help group, we're going to go over to Choose Commands From, and we're going to select Main Tabs. We're going to expand Home and Help. And then I'm going to add each of these 4 help commands over here to the Help tab. So I'm going to do Help, and you'll notice that the highlighting moves down each time. So in order to add all of those, all I have to do is click the Add button a couple of more times. So those 4 have been added. So now I'm going to click Online, and I want to add some from the File menu. So Check for Update is one of the online commands. In addition to the FAQ, the knowledge base, the MapViewer product page, and the Golden Software homepage. and say I wanted to reorder them, again, I could just use these icons, the arrow icons, to do so. And lastly, in my email group, I'm going to add information request, suggestions, and problem reports, and these are all from the file menu still. If I had a group or a new tab that I wanted to delete, all I have to do is right-click and click delete. But these look good to me now, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And you'll see that the new commands were added to, or the new icons were added to my quick access toolbar. And in the help, the new help tab was added here to my ribbon. And it looks like I have a few versions of these, so let's go ahead and click Customize the Ribbon again, and oh, I must have added a few versions of these groups, so this is a good time to show that delete. So I'm going to right-click and click Delete on these extra online, email, and scripts, and when I click OK, now it just has one instance of those. Okay, so are there any questions about customizing the ribbon or the quick access toolbar? Okay, someone noticed that I mentioned that you can add a script to the ribbon bar, and they want to know how to do this. So all you have to do is go back into that same dialog we were in before, so right-click and do Customize the Ribbon. In the Tools section, we're going to click this new Insert button. And I'm going to give this a name. I'm just going to call mine Script1.bas. And then under Command, we're going to type in the directory where Scripter is located. So you can either manually type that or you can click the ellipsis button, which I'll do. Go to MapViewer 8, Scripter, and then scripter.exe, and click Open. And then under Arguments, we first type -x, which is the run command, and then in parentheses, or sorry, not parentheses, in quotation marks, we type the path to the script we want to run. So mine is in Program Files, Golden Software, MapViewer 8, Samples, Scripts, and it is called map1.bas. So when we click OK, this is added by default to the Home tab, but if I wanted to add it to, say, my Help tab, we again customize the ribbon. I'm going to actually add a new group called Automation, and then in all tabs, Home, Tools, we're going to grab User-Defined Tools and add it there. And while I'm here, I can go ahead and add the Automation Help. I'll probably put that first, and I can then remove the Automation Help from that first help group. So when I click OK, now you'll see that Automation Help has been moved to this new automation group, and now the script is here. And so when you click on that script just tells MapViewer to draw this polygon. And so it ran. And the only thing to note when you're writing your scripts that you're going to be running in this way is to use the get object rather than create object command, because you want to be using it in the existing MapViewer window rather than creating a new MapViewer window. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions here, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is the new maps. There are 4 new map types in MapViewer. There's the proportional pin map, bivariate symbol map, contiguous cartogram map, and the multigraph map. So first, let's go over the proportional pin map. Pin maps are really useful because they can place pins at specific locations, either latitude and longitude or city, state, and things like that. And they can color and size them based on data from the worksheet. Pins can be sized in a number of different ways. They can be classed by a data column or a text column, and they can be formatted as uniform symbols. And now they can be sized proportionally, and I'll show you what that means. So if we click on our pin map layer, I'm going to make the property manager a little bigger. In the Map tab of the property manager, we're going to change the method to proportional symbol size, and we're going to choose the data column to use. It's already set to population, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. But what this does is if we scroll down to the symbol scaling tab, section here, it makes it so that the minimum value in that data column we chose is mapped to the minimum symbol size, and the maximum value in that data column is mapped to the maximum symbol size. So I can go ahead and change this, for example, to 1.4, and you'll see that the map updates accordingly. Okay, so we're going to keep moving because we have a lot to cover. So the next map type is the the bivariate symbol map. So symbol maps show a symbol located based on the object centroid, and that symbol is sized based on data from the linked worksheet. MapViewer 8 added the ability to color these symbols as well based on the same or a different data column, so you can actually display twice the information on the same map. So if we click on the symbol map in Layer in the Object Manager, in the Property Manager, click on the Map tab, and then we're going to change the proportional properties to size and color. And so you'll notice based on the legend here that the size is based on population, but the data or the color is based on Fifth's code. That's not incredibly helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, click back here. In the Map tab, I'm going to change the data column in the color section to be house units. So now in the General tab is where our variable column is set to population, and again that's the size, and our color is housing units now. So we can tell that this area, which happens to be, if you look in our info tab, it's Maricopa County, has the biggest population, and it has the most housing units by far in both of those cases. So we can draw correlations like this. Like we might see that something funny is going on if this icon is very large, but we show very few housing units. So moving on, the third map type is a cartogram map type. It's called the Contiguous cartogram. So with this edition, it makes 3 cartogram map types in MapViewer. All 3 are area cartograms, which means that the area of the boundaries is varied based on the value of the specific variable. This example is the first cartogram map type, which is a Dorling cartogram, and this replaces the boundaries with circles. If we select the cartogram map layer in the Object Manager and go to the Map tab in the Property Manager, we can see the cartogram map type. We can change this to non-contiguous, which is the other type that existed in MapViewer 7. This keeps the shape of the areas, and it tries to keep the centroids of the areas the same, while, by doing so, the connectivity between adjacent boundaries is lost. The contiguous map type doesn't replace the areas with a shape like a circle, but it maintains connectivity between adjacent boundaries, which means that the boundaries end up getting warped. And so this is just another way of showing this kind of data. So now we move on to the fourth map type, and this one is completely new. Those other ones were new options for existing map types, but this new type is 100% new. It's called the multigraph map, and it places a unique line scatter plot at each boundary. Because it's so new, we're going to create one of these from scratch so you can see exactly how to make one from start to finish. So let's first open a boundary file we're going to be using. So we'll go to the Map tab and click Base, and go to the MapViewer 8 samples directory, and I'm going to choose de2010.gsv and click Open. These are OK attributes to import, so I'm going to click OK, and our boundary file is created. So now is the time when we can import our data. So we're going to click File, New, Worksheet, or alternatively you can click this second icon on the Quick Access toolbar to create or to open a new worksheet. And now in the Data tab, in the Edit section, I'm going to click Import. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my directory here, and I'm going to select my data file and click Open. So this is typically how data is organized, but this isn't the way that the multigraph map requires data to be organized. It requires 3 columns of PID, X, and Y. So what we're going to do is reorganize this. I'm going to click up in the top left corner to select the entire table, and then in the data section of the data tab, I'm going to click Transpose. This will make it easier to reorganize. So I'm going to right click on column A, and click Insert to add a new column, and I'm going to go ahead and call this the PID column. So I'm going to select this column, and I'm going to click Transform in the data section of the data tab. My transform equation, it's going to be A equals 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, which is our first PID, as you can see here. We're going to start at row 2, and we're going to go through row 7, which you can see that's how many measurements are in each PID. So this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now I'm going to repeat the process for 10003, except this is going to go from 8 to 13. And then one more time with 10005, and this would be from 14 through 19. Okay, so now we're going to grab these dates in column B. I'm going to just do a Control-C to copy, and I'm going to paste them down. And this is going to be our X. And now our Y is going to be these values. So all you have to do is grab the measurements that are in column B and copy and paste them into the 10003 rows in column C, and do the same thing for 10005. And then we can delete D and E. And so now the data is formatted exactly as we need it to be. So we can go back to our Plot tab, go to Map, Multigraph, in the Create Map section. And now this is another new feature that's been added to MapViewer 8, is the ability to use a loaded worksheet. So I didn't save the data that I just reorganized, but I can use it in its reorganized state by clicking Sheet 1 from the Use Loaded Worksheets and clicking Open. And now you can see my multigraph maps have been created. Okay, so are there any questions about any of these new map types? Okay, so it looks like somebody is asking how to edit the multigraph map graphs. In most cases, editing a map requires clicking on the map and then going in the Object Manager and then going to the Map tab in the Property Manager. For a multigraph map, there are actually a few places in the Property Map or in the Property Manager to edit map properties. The first is in the Map tab. So here is where you can edit the size, position, and breakline properties for these graphs. So I can go ahead and make this a little bigger. I could change the position relative to the centroid if I wanted, and I could also show a breakline or not. In the Graph tab is where you can change the line and background fill properties. So I can make this a blue line instead of black. I could increase the line width a little bit. Let's make it a little bigger. And then I could also add a background, so say gray and 50%. And then the last place, sorry, not quite the last place, in the Symbol tab, you can show symbols or not, and you can modify those symbol properties. So you can make this, say, a red plus sign. And finally, in the Axes tab, this is the last place to edit things here. You can choose to show ticks or not. You can update the spacing of the ticks. Okay, good. Oops, that makes too many. And then you can also edit the label formatting and things like the frequency. Let's see. Someone is asking if you can change this graph to another graph type. In most cases, you can change to another graph type by clicking the graph up here in the Create Map section of the Map tab. This data is reorganized differently than other data types. So, I mean, if you were to click on that, you can get a pie map out of it, but because you have the X and Y variables, then it's not really going to mean much at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Let's see. There's another question. Can stacked bar charts of 2 or more variables be plotted at registered centroids on a multigraph map? You can certainly add a bar map to this. So I can right-click and create a new layer, and then I can add a bar map to this new layer. And bar maps are, by default, plotted at the centroid. So the way that you would, if you wanted these to overlay, I could just make in the graph tab here, I could make the fill of the background none, and that way I would see anything that's plotted beneath it. So I'm not sure I have any bar map data that would be good to add to this, but it can be done by using the layers. Let's go ahead and undo that so we have our background back. And then one last person is asking for the pin map, how do we update the values that are shown in the legend? So you would do that by clicking on the pin map layer again. In the General tab of the Property Manager, check the box to use user-defined limits, and then you can specify whatever limits you want. And those limits would be used both in the legend and in the map itself. All right, so moving on then. The next topic is how to use text columns for classes and territories in hatch maps and territory maps. So we'll go to a hatch map. In this hatch map, you can see that right now the data is using a numeric column. That's typical for hatch maps or choropleth maps, if you will. From MapViewer 7 is you had to use the numeric variable column. So if you were trying to create, say, a sales territory map, where the salesperson's name is the variable, you had to assign a number to each person's name in order to map it. That is not the case anymore. You can use that numeric or that text column as it is without doing that reassign. So if we click on our hatch map layer here, in the Map tab of the Property Manager, we can change the binning method to by text. This is still using the same column, so we're going to go to the General tab in the Property Manager, and I'm going to choose column C, which is a column that contains these text values. The values right now don't really correspond well with the colors. As you notice, the largest is the lightest color, and the smallest is the second darkest. So if you go to the Map tab and click Edit next to Classes, I've already created a CLS file to save us a little time, so I'm just going to load that file. And now when I click OK, the largest class is corresponding to the darkest color, and the smallest population is the lightest color. So if we go to our territory map to see the same kind of thing, we click on our territory map in the Object Manager and go to the Map tab in the Property Manager. We can click Edit next to Manage Territories. And then there's a Map Territories by Text Classes button. So if you click that button, you can choose a text column from the drop-down list, and it'll automatically update your classes to include all of the unique text that are in that column. So you click OK, it'll create your territories from that. And so you'll see that the legend updates accordingly. So are there any questions about using text classes for territory maps or hatch maps? Okay, so it looks like someone's asking if I created a territory map in MapViewer 7 that uses numeric columns, can I change that to a map that uses text columns? Absolutely. So you can, this is assuming that you had some sort of data column or some sort of text column already that you map those values to, like I was explaining. If that's the case, all you have to do is open up your MapViewer 7 file in MapViewer 8 and go through that same process I just went through, clicking Edit, clicking the Map Territories by Text classes, and then just choose your text column from the drop-down list. And that way you can change your territory map to use those text classes. Okay, so moving on, we're running a little short on time. The final topic I'll be going over today is how to use the Download Online Maps feature to download a georeferenced base map. This lets you, without having to go to any outside source or to the internet, this allows you to download a georeferenced base map image from any web mapping server directly into MapViewer, and you can use your existing map limits, so you don't have to worry about calibrating your image or trying to find the correct limits. So let's say that for our multigraph map we wanted to add a satellite image or something to give this some context and a little bit of color. So we can click Map, Add, Download Map. And so this will bring up the Download Online Maps dialog box. And so you'll notice that by default, Specify Latitude, Longitude, Extents is checked. And these limits correspond to the limits of our map. So we can choose an existing server and layer by expanding the category and then expanding the server. And many servers include a bunch of different layers. But this one, for example, the Innate Color Imagery for the US, only includes one. And as soon as you click on a layer, it'll start to download the preview. This isn't quite what I was looking for. I'm not a fan of how pixely it looks. So what I'm going to do is add my own custom server. So I'm going to right-click and choose Add New Category. I'm going to call this Mine. And then I'm going to right-click and choose Add Map Source. This is a server from the IRS, so I'll call it IRS. And the URL is irs.gis-lab.info. And so after typing that, I'm going to click Next, and it'll do a check to see if it can communicate with that WMS server. That was successful. It can communicate with the server, so we're going to click Finish. And now if I scroll down, we actually expand that a little. You can see that IRS server in mine, so I can expand that to see that there are 4 layers. I can click through the layers, but the one that I really want here is Landsat. So this one looks really nice. And say that I want to mark this one as a favorite. I can right-click on it and click Add to Favorite. And now in our Favorites category, that one layer of that server has been added. So let's say that this isn't quite the extent that I want. Say I want a little bit of a buffer zone. I'm going to use my mouse wheel to zoom out, or you can click the minus sign here in our preview. And I'm going to click the red rectangle button and click and drag on the map to define my new limits. That looks pretty good. I'm going to increase the resolution slider by 1 and click OK to download the map. Now notice that for some servers and for some layers, there are only specific zoom levels and specific resolution levels where the preview and the map will show up. And the larger the resolution you pick, the longer it's going to take to download. So just keep that in mind. And as with any as with any new layer, this layer is added to the top. So I'm going to click and drag that below our multigraph map in order to be able to see that. And so let me go ahead and just highlight those and change the line to white so you can see our outline a little better. And I could do the same thing for the multigraph maps. I could change the properties of the axes so that they use the same coloring. I could change that to white if I so desired. Are there any questions about using the Download Online Maps command to download georeferenced imagery? So it looks like someone's asking what if I have a lot of WMS servers that I want to add? That definitely might be the case. And if that is, all you have to do is open up the geo.ini file and you can add them all. So you don't have to add them one at a time. That file is located in the App Data Roaming Golden Software shared directory. To get to that, go to your Windows Start menu. In the search bar, click App Data. Let me actually show you what that looks like. So we'll type %, APPDATA, %. And then you'll click Enter. And that's a shortcut to open that App Data directory. Then you'll click Roaming, and then Golden Software, and then Shared. And if you double-click the geo.ini file, then that'll open in Notepad, and you can add those WMS servers en masse. Okay, so if there are no more questions then, that will conclude the presentation portion of our webinar. These 4 new features are really only a small sampling of what has been added to or improved on in MapViewer. You can see more of these new features in the What's New tab of the MapViewer 8 homepage on our website, www.goldensoftware.com. If you liked what you saw, you can purchase a new MapViewer license for $459 or upgrade your existing MapViewer license for $139 by going to our website and clicking the Buy Now button in the top right. If you have any additional questions, or if I haven't gotten to a question that you've asked, you can email me at Leslie, that's Leslie, @goldensoftware.com. And those questions I haven't gotten to, I'll go ahead and get to via email. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.